Suburbia today is remarkably diverse. There are affluent commuter suburbs, working class suburbs, suburbs of condominiums, industrial park suburbs, and commercial edge cities. Historically, suburbs were considered sub because they were not economically self-supporting, but rather were appendages of the central city, serving as dormitories. Today, there are more large corporate headquarters in areas surrounding New York City than in the city itself. This was from The Urban World by J. John Palin. The reasons most people give for suburbanization are to raise their children and have a family in the privacy of their own home, to be able to own a more spacious home at a reasonable price, to have a big front and backyard to relax in, let the dog out to run, let the children out to play safely, to have people over and throw barbecues, to have a more quiet lifestyle, to have a sense of community, and to have easy access to urban and rural areas and be able to visit at any given time. People usually think of the city as a bright lifestyle for single people or couples without children. People love the city for its range of lifestyle and career choices, social mobility, diversity, mass transit, transportation, which is why there are more accidents in the suburbs, even though everyone thinks city drivers are crazy. Excellent education and medical care, and the fact that there is never a dull moment and there is always something going on.
I'm traveling is where I belong. Yeah. I said the road that I'm riding is where I belong. Hey. It's 11:34. I'm on the road. It's almost noon and I ain't got nowhere to go. Yeah. And this is the road of my life, so I'ma have a little fun. Ride till I see the sun.
Cities are a relatively new idea. They have existed for about 7,000 to 10,000 years. In the 1800s, the world was 97% rural. The 21st century was the first urban century. A city is a physical entity, a unit or collection of structures. Place plus culture plus commerce plus political entity plus, most importantly, a large population equals a city. This information was from one of our class lectures on multidisciplinary approach from January 25th. I'm at a shopping center in a suburban area. I just thought it was interesting because this much room would never be available in an urban area. So here you go.
Everything, so I can understand your world. You can understand my dream. Yeah, I could be anywhere, and you could be there with me. But I just wanna be a ghost and see everything. I don't want it to be the way they want it. This town, this night, this crowd, come on, put 'em up, let me hear it loud. This town, this city, this crowd, stand up on your feet, put your worry down, and every one of you all around.
The first person that I interviewed was my boss, Natalia. I babysit for her children, and I thought that she would be an excellent source because she currently lives in the suburbs but used to live in the city and still is working in the city along with her husband. Unfortunately, at the time I interviewed her, I did not think to videotape it, so I'll be reading off what she had said. They lived in a 2-bedroom apartment in Manhattan and then moved to a Brooklyn apartment when she got pregnant because it was bigger. They moved out of the city and into the suburbs when the children were 3 years old because they could not afford a proper daycare for the children and were unable to work without the children being in daycare. They moved to the suburbs because it is a lot easier raising children. There are good public schools that are close by. They live by the train, so public transportation into the city for work is easy and accessible, but can be a pain at times and can definitely add up. They also like that they have more affordable house and that is a lot more spacious. They now have a 3-level house with basement and plenty of room for the children to play inside and outside. It is also a lot easier with their dog to just let her out and run free in the fenced-in yard. She says food shopping and shopping in general is a whole lot easier in the suburbs, especially with the children, because you can just hop in the car and drive to a nearby store, rather than having to take a cab or walk to the store and back while carrying children and bags back and forth. Having said that though, Natalia's husband Dan loves the suburbs and likes the city, but says he has enough of it by working there every day and can go there on occasions, but does not miss living in the hectic city lifestyle. Natalia, however, likes the suburbs, but misses living in the city. She thinks that it is best raising her children here because she was able to afford them with a better lifestyle. But if she had the more money, she would love to live back in the city now that her children are a little bit older. She loves that there is always something going on, and she loves the artsy feel the city has to it. Alright guys, now I know that you used to live in the city, right?
Uh-huh.
When did you move here?
When we were about 3.
3?
I think actually 2.
2?
3. Oh, maybe 3.
Alright, do you guys I know that being 3 you probably don't remember too much about the city, but are you guys glad that you moved to it's called the suburbs, a place like this where there's a lot of more houses and more room for you guys?
Yes, because I like it because we have a front yard, and in the city we live in an apartment, so we don't have a front yard to play.
Yeah, you like playing outside a lot, right? What do you guys do outside?
Oh, and one more thing about that. We have more space.
I have more room to play than an apartment, because in an apartment you mostly have like 2 rooms or something, and in our house we have lots of more room to play and do something. In apartment it's really small, and our house it's big, so we like it better in a house than living in the city.
Yeah? Alright, thanks guys.
Bye.
Here are some statistics released by World Resources Institute. Most people now live in urban areas. 3/4 of the population of the United States is urban, and 1/4 is rural. Fewer than half of the people living in urban areas live in central cities. More than half live in suburbs. More than half of all Americans live in the largest metropolitan areas, those with populations of 1 million or more. There are 39 metropolitan areas of more than 1 million in the United States. Suburbs are changing. No longer are they just bedroom communities for people who work in the city. Most of the jobs in metropolitan areas are in the suburbs. Central cities are changing. Poor, largely minority people have become concentrated in inner city neighborhoods. Jobs, stores, and entertainment services have left the central city for the new suburban edge cities that compete with central cities. Many urban poor who rely on public transportation have limited access to the suburbs where the jobs are. In 1990, the overall poverty rate in the United States central cities was 18%. More than 26% of all urban children live in poverty. Immigration increases the diversity of cities. In 1990, 1 in 4 immigrants was from Central America. More than 1 in 5 foreign-born Americans was from Mexico. Another 1 in 4 was from Asia, and about 1 in 5 was from Europe. 1 in 10 came from the Caribbean, and 1 in 20 from Africa. By 1990, 4 of 10 residents of New York City over the age of 5 spoke a language other than English at home. In the borough of Queens, 1/3 of the residents were born outside the United States in at least 112 different countries. What do you do for a living?
I'm a graphic designer, web designer, and a writer for a sports media firm.
How long have you been with your company?
A little over a year and a half now.
And what did you do previously to work?
Previously, I worked as a graphic designer and a marketing consultant at a company called Disco Sushi in Manhattan.
Ah, what was it like working in the city?
It was okay. Kind of hectic day to day, but all in all, it wasn't terrible.
And you still lived around here, right?
Yeah, I lived in Wayne at the time.
So what was it like commuting every day?
Commuting was kind of a hassle, to be completely honest. Just start that part over.
What was it like commuting into the city every day?
Honestly, it was kind of a hassle, to be honest. I had to get up extra early in the morning and got home extra late from work, even though it was still the same required hours as the jobs are now.
And did you use public transportation or did you drive in?
I did. I drove into Hoboken every morning, and then I took the PATH train to 23rd Street.
Did you ever think of living in the city rather than commuting every day?
I thought about it, but kind of against it because it's pretty pricey, and I know transportation can cost some money too, but I'd much rather live in a more peaceful area. And I have a dog. I'm kind of lazy when it comes to walking my dog. Just kind of let him out in the backyard, let him run around.
So overall, between working and living in the city, you prefer the suburbs?
Yeah.
So is there anything you like about the city?
Yeah. The Knicks, the Rangers, and Halal Guy's gyro cart.
Okay, thank you. Have you ever lived in the city before?
Oh yeah, I lived in the city when I was a baby. I was born in New York, in Brooklyn. I lived there for 5 years and went to school there. And then I finished kindergarten there and I came over here. But I didn't really speak English that well. I spoke Italian then. As far as living in the city, I'm not sure if that's what I want to do, but I would love to spend some time in the city. There's so many exciting things to see, plays, every corner. There's something that you want to just pop in and look at, the museums, the art museums, the people bustling around, all the fancy restaurants and the shops, the theater district, all the famous places that you could see, the bridges, the tunnels. And I think it would be exciting. There's never a dull moment in the city. So, yeah, I would love to. I think there's a lot of excitement, and it's way different than where I live in the rural, not rural, but
Suburban.
kind of suburbia.
What do you like about living in the suburban areas?
I like the peace and quiet. I love parking, finding parking. I love sitting in my backyard listening to the
I'm sure. Look how
birds.
big it is.
The deer, seeing people walking around, just taking a walk and meeting with your neighbors, and not too far from the store. So I have the best. Yeah, I have the best of both worlds.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, and the Yankees too, of course.
Could you whisper in my ear the things you wanna feel? I'll give you anything to feel it coming. Do you wake up on your own? I wonder where you are, and live with all your faults. I wanna wake up where you are.